The rain hammered against Christina McKay's umbrella as she gripped Emma's small hand tighter, half running down the courthouse steps. He checked her watch. 2:48 p.m. 12 minutes to make it to Judge Morrison's chambers on the 4th floor, where she'd been summoned for an emergency custody hearing. The hearing wasn't supposed to happen for another month, but her ex-husband's new lawyer had filed a motion claiming she was financially and emotionally unstable. Christina's stomach churned. 3 years as a legal secretary at Henderson and Associates, never a day missed, rent always paid on time. None of it seemed to matter now that Marcus had money and connections. "Mommy, you're walking too fast," Emma whimpered, her pink backpack bouncing against her shoulders. Christina had picked her up early from school, telling the secretary it was a dentist appointment. Another small lie in a growing collection of them. Her phone buzzed in her blazer pocket. Her boss, Gerald Henderson, was calling for the 3rd time. Christina silenced it. She had a meeting with a client at 3:30 sharp, and Henderson had already made it clear that family emergencies were becoming a pattern. Single parenthood was a constant tightrope walk, and lately Christina felt like she was performing without a net, in a windstorm, while someone sawed through the rope. Christina turned the corner onto 5th Avenue, picking up her pace despite Emma's protest. That's when she saw him. A man collapsed on the rain-slicked sidewalk, his expensive gray suit darkening with water and something else, something dark red spreading across his white shirt. His leather briefcase had skidded several feet away, its contents scattered across the wet pavement. Papers floated in the gutter like drowning birds. People flowed around him like water around a stone. Businessmen checking their phones, a woman with a stroller who glanced once then looked away, a teenager with headphones who stepped over his outstretched hand. For a split second, Christina froze. She looked down at her watch. 2:50 p.m. 10 minutes. She bit her lip, her gaze darting from the dying man to the courthouse entrance, visible just across the plaza, its steps leading to the future with her daughter. "Mommy, is that man hurt?" Emma's voice was small, frightened. Christina felt her daughter's hand trembling in hers. The man's chest rose and fell in shallow, desperate gasps. His hand twitched, reaching for nothing. No one was stopping. No one was calling for help. The rain came down harder, washing the blood toward the storm drain. "Mommy, we have to go," Emma whispered, tugging at her hand. "You said we can't be late." Christina was already dropping to her knees, her business suit absorbing the cold rainwater and the man's blood. Her umbrella clattered away, spinning in the wind. She pressed both hands against the gunshot wound in his chest. She could feel the torn fabric of his shirt, the warmth of blood pulsing between her fingers. "Sir, can you hear me?" Her voice came out steadier than she felt. "Don't move. I'm calling for help." The man's eyes fluttered open. Dark eyes, intelligent even through the haze of pain and shock. His lips moved, forming words she couldn't hear over the sound of rain hammering against the pavement. Blood bubbled at the corner of his mouth. "Emma, dial 911 on my phone," Christina commanded, fishing the phone from her pocket with her elbow, her hands maintaining pressure on the wound. "Tell them there's a man with a gunshot wound on 5th Avenue, corner of Oak Street. Can you do that, baby?" Emma nodded, her face pale, her small fingers trembling as she took the phone. 8 years old, and she was calling 911 while her mother pressed her hands into a stranger's chest, trying to keep his life from spilling out onto the street. "Stay with me," Christina said to the man, leaning closer. "Help is coming. Just stay with me." His hand suddenly gripped her wrist with surprising strength. His dark eyes focused on her face with an intensity that made her breath catch. He was trying to say something, his lips forming words that were lost in the rain and the approaching sirens. What Christina couldn't know as she knelt in the rain, her court hearing slipping away minute by minute, her job on the line, her custody of Emma hanging by a thread, was that the man bleeding beneath her hands was William J. Woolley. The name FBI agent spoke in hushed tones. The man whose empire stretched from Boston's waterfront to Miami's financial district. The head of the most powerful crime family on the East Coast. She didn't know that 3 cars away, a black Mercedes sat idling, its occupants watching through tinted windows, hands on weapons, waiting to see if their boss would survive. She didn't know that the papers floating in the gutter contained ledgers that could bring down a dozen legitimate businesses and twice as many illegitimate ones. She didn't know that in helping this man, she was crossing a line that would change everything, would cost her everything, and that by the time the ambulance arrived with its wailing sirens and flashing lights, her old life was already over. All she knew was that he was dying, and everyone else had walked past. So Christina T. McKay stayed on her knees in the rain, her hands pressed against a stranger's chest, her daughter watching with wide, frightened eyes, while 12 blocks away, Judge Morrison called her name in an empty chamber and marked her down as a no-show. The choice was already made. The consequences were already in motion. And the man whose life she was saving would soon be the only thing standing between her and complete destruction. The paramedics arrived in a chaos of sirens and shouted commands. Christina stepped back, her hands dripping red, as they swarmed around William's unconscious body. Emma clung to her leg, sobbing quietly. "Ma'am, are you injured?" A young paramedic with kind eyes examined her blood-stained blazer. "No, it's his blood." Christina's voice sounded distant to her own ears. "I just tried to stop the bleeding." A police officer appeared, notebook already open. "I need you to stay for questioning." Christina's stomach dropped. Her watch read 3:07 p.m. The hearing was over. "Officer, I have to get to the courthouse. I have a custody. This is a crime scene. You're a witness." His tone left no room for argument. She watched helplessly as they loaded William into the ambulance. His gray suit now black with blood. 3 men in expensive overcoats materialized from nowhere, following the ambulance with predatory focus. One of them, broad-shouldered with a scar bisecting his left eyebrow, locked eyes with Christina for a long measuring moment before disappearing into a black Mercedes. The police questioning took 45 minutes. Emma sat on a nearby bench, wrapped in an officer's jacket, staring at nothing. By the time they were released, Christina's phone showed 7 missed calls from her lawyer, 4 from her office, and 1 text message that made her blood run cold. "Marcus. Judge ruled in my favor. I'm picking up Emma at 6 p.m. Don't make this difficult." "No," Christina whispered. "No, no, no." Her lawyer answered on the first ring. "Christina, where the hell were you?" "Judge Morrison. I was helping someone who'd been shot. I called your office, It doesn't matter. You missed the hearing. Marcus's lawyer painted you as unstable, unreliable. The judge granted him temporary custody pending a full evaluation in 60 days. His voice softened. "I'm sorry. There's nothing I can do today." The courthouse steps felt like they belonged to a different lifetime. Christina held Emma's hand as Marcus arrived in his BMW. His new wife Bethany smiling sympathetically from the passenger seat. "Emma, sweetheart, get your things," Marcus said, not meeting Christina's eyes. "Mommy." Emma's voice broke. "It's okay, baby. Just for a little while." Christina knelt down, smoothing her daughter's hair with shaking, blood-stained fingers. "Be good. I'll fix this. I promise." That night, Christina sat alone in Emma's bedroom, surrounded by stuffed animals and finger paintings. The apartment felt like a tomb. Her phone rang, an unknown number. Ms. McKay. A woman's crisp voice. This is Marie Delacroix, calling on behalf of Mr. Woolley. He's regained consciousness and is asking for you. Could you return to Metropolitan General Hospital? Christina stared at her blood-stained hands in the darkness. Ms. McKay. Are you there? Yes, Christina whispered. I'm here. Metropolitan General's ICU was a fortress of beeping machines and hushed voices. Christina found William Woolley propped against white pillows, his chest wrapped in bandages, and 4 snaking into his arm. Despite the hospital gown and pallor, he radiated authority. You saved my life, he said simply. His voice was rough but commanding. Anyone would have. No one did. His dark eyes held hers. Only you. A woman in a tailored suit appeared beside his bed. Marie Delacroix, the voice from the phone. She handed Christina an envelope. Inside, a check for $50,000. I can't accept this. Christina's hands trembled. Consider it a thank you, William said. Marie tells me you lost something important to help me. My daughter. The words tasted like ash. William's expression hardened. Tell me everything. 3 days later, Christina arrived at Henderson and Associates to find her belongings in a cardboard box. Gerald Henderson couldn't meet her eyes. The blood on your clothes, the absence, the police involvement. The partners consider you a liability. We can't afford this attention. I was helping someone who'd been shot. The decision is final. He pushed a severance check across his desk. 2 weeks' pay. The eviction notice arrived the next morning, taped to her apartment door. Without her job, she couldn't make rent. Her landlord's message was blunt. 30 days to vacate. The CPS caseworker was a thin woman named Sandra Reeves with tired eyes and a clipboard. She surveyed Christina's apartment with clinical detachment. You're unemployed. I was let go 3 days ago. I'm looking. And you're being evicted. Christina's throat tightened. It's temporary. Sandra made a note. At the hearing the following week, her words echoed in the courtroom. Given Ms. McKay's current unemployment, pending homelessness, and emotional instability, I recommend the temporary custody arrangement remain in place pending the 60-day evaluation. Judge Morrison barely looked up. So ordered. Marcus and Bethany's house in the suburbs was everything Christina's apartment wasn't. Spacious, clean, stable. She sat in their perfect living room during supervised visits, watching Emma color at their kitchen table, a social worker timing every interaction. Mommy, when can I come home? Emma asked during the 3rd visit. Christina had no answer. The women's shelter smelled like industrial cleaner and desperation. Christina carried her belongings in 2 garbage bags, everything she owned that fit. Her roommates were a recovering addict and a woman fleeing domestic violence. At night, she stared at the water-stained ceiling, wondering how a single choice had demolished her entire life. She was contemplating the pills in her pocket, leftover anxiety medication, enough if she took them all, when a knock interrupted her thoughts. The shelter worker stood in the doorway, looking uncomfortable. Christina McKay. There's a man here to see you. Says his name is William Woolley. William Woolley looked wrong in the shelter's fluorescent-lit common room. His charcoal suit and Italian shoes a stark contrast to peeling linoleum and plastic chairs. The man beside him, broad-shouldered with a scarred eyebrow, surveyed the space like a bomb might detonate. Mr. Woolley shouldn't be here, the scarred man muttered. Vincent's right. This is. Vincent worries too much. William's gaze found Christina in the doorway. Ms. McKay. They sat at a corner table sticky with old coffee. Christina's roommate watched from across the room, eyes wide. How did you find me? I make it my business to know things. William folded his hands. Marie's been investigating what happened after you helped me. I know about your job, your apartment, your daughter. Christina's jaw tightened. Why are you here? Because you lost everything saving my life. He slid a business card across the table. I'm offering an apartment in the financial district, a position at one of my consulting firms, a retainer for the best family lawyer in Boston. Everything you need to get Emma back. No. The word came out harder than Christina intended. William raised an eyebrow. No. I don't accept charity from criminals. The scarred man shifted, but William held up one hand. His expression didn't change, but something dangerous flickered in his eyes. You've done your homework. Enough to know what you are. Then you know I don't offer charity. William leaned forward. I pay my debts. You saved my life when no one else would. That means something in my world. I don't want to be part of your world. You already are. The moment you put your hands on my chest. He stood, adjusting his cufflinks. The offer stands. When you're ready. That night, Christina used the shelter's computer. FBI files from leaked databases. Newspaper articles spanning 2 decades. William J. Woolley. Racketeering, extortion, suspected in 4 murders. Never convicted. Witnesses disappeared. Prosecutors transferred. One investigator found dead, ruled suicide. Christina's hands shook as she read. The next day's visit with Emma was torture. They sat in Marcus and Bethany's backyard, the social worker watching from the patio. Bethany made me pancakes this morning, Emma said quietly. With chocolate chips. That's nice, baby. She's teaching me piano. Emma's voice dropped to a whisper. Mommy, why can't you fix this? You always fix everything. Christina pulled her daughter close, breathing in her shampoo. A different brand, something expensive. I'm trying, sweetheart. Try harder. Emma's words were muffled against Christina's shoulder. Please. In the shelter bathroom, Christina stared at William's card. Her reflection looked hollow, defeated. She thought of Emma's face. Emma's question. Emma sleeping in another woman's house, calling her Bethany, learning to live without her mother. He dialed. William answered on the first ring. Ms. McKay. The job. What would I actually be doing? Legitimate legal consulting. You'd be my advisor on legitimate business matters. A cover story for why you're living in one of my properties. Why you suddenly have resources. Christina closed her eyes. I want Emma back. Whatever it takes. Then. Whatever it takes, Ms. McKay. We have a deal. The apartment occupied the entire 15th floor. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking Boston Harbor. Furniture that cost more than Christina's yearly salary. She stood in the marble foyer, her garbage bags suddenly obscene. This is too much. It's secure. William gestured to cameras in every corner. Sal will be stationed in the lobby. Marco drives you anywhere you need. No one gets past them. Sal was the scarred man from the shelter, 6'4" of controlled violence. Marco was older, quieter, with watchful eyes. And Vincent, William's lieutenant, made no effort to hide his disdain. She's a liability, boss, Vincent said flatly. FBI's probably already watching her. Then they'll see her working as my legal consultant. Nothing more. William's tone ended the discussion. Christina's job materialized the next morning. Contracts for shipping companies, real estate holdings, import businesses. She reviewed them at the dining table, flagging inconsistencies. By the third day she understood. Money laundering fronts, all of them. Legitimate enough to pass inspection, dirty enough to move William's cash. She was complicit now. The violence came unexpectedly. Christina was leaving the building when she heard shouting from the parking garage. She followed the sound to find William and 3 of his men surrounding someone on the concrete, a younger man, bloodied and sobbing. "You sold information to the Italians." William's voice was cold. "After everything I gave you. Please, Mr. Woolley, The beating was methodical, brutal. Christina watched from the shadows, hand over her mouth, torn between horror and understanding. This was their world, their code. Betrayal had consequences. William saw her as they dragged the man away. He approached, not apologizing, just watching her face. "Still want that deal, Ms. McKay?" Christina thought of Emma. Yes. 2 weeks later, FBI agent Sarah Chen cornered Christina outside the courthouse. Young, sharp-eyed, determined. "Christina McKay. I need 5 minutes." They sat in Chen's car. The agent laid out photos. William with known associates, money transfers, surveillance logs. "You're living in his building. Working for him. We know you're not dirty." Chen leaned closer. "Help us. We're a wire. Record conversations. We'll protect you and your daughter." Christina's hands trembled. "No. You're making a mistake." "Maybe." Christina opened the car door. "But it's mine to make." The custody hearing felt like a dream. William's lawyer, a silver-haired shark named Garrison, methodically dismantled every argument. Christina had stable housing, legitimate employment, financial resources. Marcus's lawyer floundered. Judge Morrison studied Christina over her glasses. "Supervised custody is restored to Ms. McKay, pending monthly evaluations." Emma flew into her arms in the courthouse hallway, and Christina held her daughter like she might disappear. That evening, Emma explored the apartment with wide eyes while Christina cooked dinner. William arrived unexpectedly, carrying a children's book. "Thought she might like this," he said awkwardly. Emma appeared in the doorway, cautious. "Mommy, who's that?" "A friend. His name is William." William knelt to Emma's level, his usual authority softening. "Your mother's very brave. She helped me when I was hurt. Like a superhero." Something flickered across William's face. Surprise, maybe warmth. "Exactly like that." Later, Christina watched from the kitchen as William sat on the couch, Emma curled beside him, reading about dragons and princesses. His voice was gentle, patient. Emma laughed at his funny voices. And Christina felt something shift in her chest, something dangerous and inevitable, like ice cracking beneath her feet. Christina's days split into 2 realities. Mornings meant dropping Emma at her new private school, reviewing contracts at William's office downtown, maintaining the facade of legitimate consulting. Nights meant dinners where William's associates spoke in code, where Vincent's phone rang with problems that required handling, where she learned to read the silence between words. Emma struggled. The child psychologist, another gift from William, said nightmares were normal. But hearing her daughter scream awake, reliving the day on Fifth Avenue, shattered Christina nightly. "I see the blood, Mommy," Emma whispered one night. "On your hands." "I know, baby. I know." William started appearing during Emma's bad nights. He'd sit in the hallway outside her room, a silent guardian until the nightmares passed. Christina never asked him to. He just came. One night, after Emma finally slept, Christina found him on the balcony. "Why do you do this?" she asked. All of it. William was quiet, watching the harbor lights. My father used to beat my sister. I was 12 when I stopped him, sent him to the hospital. He turned to face her. Learned early that power protects what matters. The law didn't protect her. I did. So you built an empire. I built a family. Different from blood, but bound by something stronger. His gaze held hers. Loyalty, honor, protection. Christina felt the pull between them. Dangerous, inevitable. She stepped back. I should go. But the charged moments multiplied. His hand on her back guiding her through doorways. Her fingers brushing his reviewing documents. Vincent noticed, disapproval hardening his features. Marcus's new lawyer was relentless. At the evaluation hearing, he presented photographs. Christina entering William's office, dining at restaurants with known criminals, living in property owned by shell corporations. Ms. McKay has embedded herself in organized crime, he argued. Garrison destroyed him. Mr. Woolley is a legitimate businessman. These allegations are slanderous. But Agent Chen cornered Christina afterward in the parking garage. You're in deeper now. When this falls apart, and it will, you'll go down with him. He's given me my daughter back. Where were you when I lost everything? He's using you. No. Christina's voice was steel. He saved me. William was waiting by his car, having heard everything. As Chan drove away, he pulled Christina close, his hand cupping her face. The kiss was inevitable. Fierce, desperate, weeks of tension igniting. Christina broke away, breathless. I don't know who I am anymore. You're the woman who stopped when everyone else walked past. William's thumb traced her cheek. Everything else is just noise. 2 weeks later, Judge Morrison granted full custody to Christina. No supervision. No evaluations. Marcus's lawyer protested, but the decision was final. That night, Christina held Emma in the apartment's doorway, watching her daughter finally, truly come home. She didn't hear Vincent's phone call from his car below. Dominic. It's Vincent. Yeah, about Woolley. He's got a weakness now. The woman and her kid. Thought you'd want to know. Across the city, Dominic Castellano smiled into the phone. The Italians had been waiting for an opening. They just found it. Dominic Castellano's message arrived via courier. A single photograph of Emma leaving school, red X marked across her face, and 3 words: waterfront or war. William's hand crumpled the photo. Get Christina and Emma to the safe house. Now. He won't negotiate. Christina asked, reading his expression. The waterfront is 30% of our operation. William's voice was ice. He wants me to bleed. Sal and 2 others shadowed Christina everywhere. Marco drove them in armored vehicles, checking mirrors obsessively. Emma asked questions Christina couldn't answer. The ambush came on Tuesday. Marco was turning onto Beacon Street when the black SUV rammed them from the side. Glass exploded. Christina threw herself over Emma as bullets tore through the door. Marco fired back, screaming into his radio. Christina felt something hot graze her shoulder, a bullet skimming flesh. Then Sal was there, dragging them from the wreckage as Marco provided cover. Marco didn't make it. 6 bullets to the chest before Sal could get them clear. William found them at the hospital, Christina's shoulder bandaged, Emma catatonic with shock. His rage was terrifying, controlled, absolute, lethal. Pack everything. You're moving to my estate. The compound was a fortress. Gates, guards, cameras covering every angle. Emma's new room had bulletproof windows. Christina watched her daughter curl into bed without speaking, eyes vacant. "This is my fault," Christina whispered that night. "I brought this to her." William's jaw tightened. "Castellano brought this. And he'll pay." Agent Chen appeared the next morning, somehow bypassing security. She found Christina in the garden. "Witness protection. New identities. You and Emma safe away from all of this. In exchange for testifying against William. In exchange for your daughter's life." Chen's expression was urgent. "This only gets worse, Christina. You know that." Christina thought of Marco's body, Emma's empty eyes, the blood on her blazer. Then she thought of William reading to Emma, defending her in court, giving her back everything when the system had abandoned her. "When I lost everything, where was the FBI? Where were you?" Christina's voice hardened. "William saved us when you did nothing." "No." "My answer is no." That evening William tried one last time. "There's a house in Vermont. Remote secure. Emma. I'll handle Castellano. And leave you to die." Christina caught his wrist. "No. Christina. We stay. Together." William searched her face, then nodded. But something in his expression troubled her, a shadow she couldn't name. She understood 3 days later when Sal found the wiretap in William's office. The recordings led to Vincent's burner phone. Vincent's secret meetings with Castellano. Vincent's betrayal, feeding information for months. William's rage was biblical. Vincent disappeared that night. The next day, Christina waited outside Emma's school, Sal beside her. 3 o'clock came and went. No Emma. The principal found them in the hallway. "Ms. McKay. Emma never came to class today." Christina's blood froze. "What?" Sal's phone buzzed. He read the message, his face draining of color. He showed Christina the screen. A photo of Emma blindfolded, terrified, and beneath it, 72 hours. Waterfront for the girl. Christina collapsed in William's office, her screams raw and primal. She destroyed a lamp, swept papers from his desk, clawed at her own arms until Sal pulled her back. Then, as suddenly as the storm came, it stopped. She stood, wiping her face, eyes crystallizing into something hard and focused. "What are Castellano's exact demands?" William exchanged glances with Sal. "He wants the waterfront territories and me. Alive, delivered to him. For execution." "Yes." William was already organizing it, contacting intermediaries, arranging the exchange. Christina watched him prepare to die, and something shifted in her chest. Not grief. Strategy. "There's another way. Christina. You taught me your world operates on power and fear. But I know something you don't." She pulled out her laptop. "Castellano has legitimate businesses. Import companies, construction firms. All vulnerable to legal scrutiny." William leaned forward. "Keep talking. We hit him legally and lethally. Simultaneously. FBI gets evidence of his operations. Anonymously. IRS audits his companies. Asset freezes. While he's distracted fighting legal battles, we find Emma. That takes time we don't have. Then we make time." Christina's voice was steel. "Where's Vincent?" They found Vincent in the warehouse basement, bound to a chair, Sal's knife already drawn. William looked at Christina. "You don't need to see this." "Yes, I do." Vincent's execution was efficient, brutal. Christina didn't flinch when William fired. She watched Vincent's body slump, then met William's gaze. "Do what you have to. Get my daughter back." William saw it then, the transformation. The woman who'd knelt in the rain was gone. Someone harder had taken her place. Christina spent the next 48 hours like a woman possessed. She compiled evidence from William's files, carefully sanitized to exclude his involvement, and left encrypted packages at FBI field offices. Not to Agent Chen. Chen would ask questions. Other agents would simply follow the evidence trail. Meanwhile, she worked Marco's old contacts. The driver had maintained relationships across the city's underworld. People who owed favors, who heard things. One name surfaced repeatedly. A warehouse in Southie, Castellano territory, recently cleared of workers. Federal warrants hit Castellano's businesses on hour 67. His lawyers scrambled. His attention divided. Christina found William in the armory, loading weapons. "The warehouse on Summer Street," she said. "Castellano's holding her there. I'm going in with 12 men. You stay." "No." Christina picked up a vest from the table. "I know where she is. And I'm going with you. Christina, this is a raid. People will die. Then they die." She strapped on the vest, her hands steady. "That's my daughter in there. I stopped being afraid the moment they took her." William studied her face. The woman he'd met in the rain completely erased, replaced by something fierce and unbreakable. "You understand what you're becoming." Christina checked the vest straps, then met his eyes. "I became it the moment I chose you over everything else. Now let's go get Emma." The warehouse loomed in the darkness, sodium lights casting sickly orange across cracked pavement. William's convoy stopped 2 blocks away. Christina's hands trembled as she checked the recording device taped beneath her vest. Agent Chen's reluctant compromise. "You gave us Castellano's organization," Chen had said. "I'll stay away from Wooly tonight. But after this, McKay, you're done protecting him." Now, stepping from the SUV, Christina's only thought was Emma. "You stay behind me," William ordered. "When we have Emma, Sal gets you both out. No arguments. She'll be terrified. She needs to see me." Christina's voice broke. "Please." William's expression softened. He nodded. They approached the warehouse entrance. William, Christina, Sal, and 4 others. Castellano's men waited inside, weapons visible. And there, in the center of the cavernous space, a small figure huddled on a chair. "Emma!" Christina lunged forward. William caught her arm. Castellano emerged from the shadows, smiling. Mid-50s, silver-haired. Expensive suit incongruous with the setting. William. Punctual as always. His gaze slid to Christina. "And the woman. How touching." "The girl for the territory deeds," William said flatly. "As agreed." "Oh, I think the terms have changed." Castellano's smile widened. "You see, Vincent told me everything before he died. The FBI raids today. The frozen assets. That was your woman's work." Christina's blood ran cold. "So new terms, the girl, your life, and the woman's. All 3, or the child dies here." Castellano's men raised their weapons. Emma screamed. Christina ran. She didn't think, didn't calculate. Just threw herself toward her daughter as gunfire erupted. She felt Emma's arms wrap around her, felt the impact in her shoulder like a hammer blow, felt them both hit the concrete. The warehouse became chaos. William's men returned fire. Windows shattered as FBI agents rappelled through. Chen's voice booming orders. Castellano's men scattered, caught between 2 forces. Through the pain, Christina heard Castellano shouting, "I killed Renzo. I killed the state's attorney. You think the feds can touch me? I own half the..." The recording device captured every word. William moved like death itself. He crossed the warehouse floor, bullets somehow missing him, and reached Castellano as the crime boss aimed at Emma. One shot. Castellano dropped. Agent Chen reached Christina as William lifted Emma into his arms. The little girl sobbed into his shoulder, and William's face contorted with something between rage and anguish. "Get them out," he commanded Sal. "Nobody moves." Chen's gun was raised. "Castellano's lieutenants, you're under arrest." "Willie." Christina pulled the recording device from her vest with shaking, bloody fingers. "Everything he confessed to. It's all here." Chen's jaw tightened. She looked at William, at Emma crying in his arms, at Christina bleeding on the floor. "Castellano's organization only," she said quietly. "Tonight." Metropolitan General's private room was quiet except for monitors beeping steadily. Emma slept in the bed beside Christina's, finally peaceful. William sat in the corner, motionless, a statue keeping vigil. "You should rest," Christina whispered. "Can't." His eyes never left Emma. "Not until I know she's safe." Agent Chen appeared in the doorway at dawn. 17 arrests. Castellano's entire operation. She looked at William. "This isn't over. He's still a criminal. And eventually, McKay, you'll have to choose." Left. William met Christina's gaze across the dim room. "Will you," he asked quietly, "have to choose?" Christina looked at Emma, then at William, the man who'd given her everything back, who'd killed to protect her daughter, who'd become something she couldn't name. "I already chose," she whispered. "The day I stopped in the rain." Christina's shoulder healed in 3 weeks. The permanent custody papers arrived in 2. Judge Morrison signed without hesitation, Marcus's lawyer conspicuously absent from the hearing. "He withdrew his petition," Garrison explained. "Cited irreconcilable differences in parenting philosophy." Christina knew better. She'd seen William's face after the warehouse, heard his quiet phone call. Whatever persuasion he'd used, Marcus had listened. Agent Chen made one final attempt, appearing at Christina's apartment on a Tuesday morning. "Last chance, McKay. Full immunity. New identities. Your daughter never has to know what her mother became." "What did I become?" Christina asked quietly. "Someone who watches executions. Someone who helps launder money through shell corporations. Someone who chose a criminal over the law. I chose the man who saved us when the law failed." Christina held Chen's gaze. "We're done here, Agent." Chen stood at the door. "When he breaks your heart or gets you killed, don't say I didn't warn you." Emma's nightmares faded gradually. Dr. Morrison, her therapist, said the consistency helped. Same home, same school, same people. William visited 3 times weekly, teaching Emma chess, helping with homework, reading stories in funny voices that made her giggle. "Why does William come over so much?" Emma asked one evening. Christina brushed her daughter's hair, choosing words carefully. "Because he cares about us." "Is that okay?" Emma considered this. "He's not like other grown-ups. He listens for real." "Yes," Christina whispered. "He does." William's proposal came unexpectedly, on the estate balcony overlooking the harbor. No ring, no ceremony, just truth. "I can't offer you normal. Can't promise safety. But I can promise protection, loyalty, family." He took her hand. "Not marriage, that targets you legally. But partnership. Real partnership." Christina studied his face. The man who'd ordered executions, who'd built an empire on fear, who read bedtime stories to her daughter with infinite patience. I see who you are. All of it. She squeezed his hand. And I choose this. The legitimate consulting work materialized slowly. Garrison restructured William's operations, separating clean businesses from dirty ones. Christina became legal counsel for the shipping company, the real estate firm, the import business. Legitimate work, legitimate pay, legitimate cover. Saturday afternoon found them at Boston Common. Emma fed ducks at the pond while William and Christina watched from a bench. Ordinary families surrounded them. Picnics, laughter, children playing. For this moment they were just another family. Christina spotted Marcus across the pond, watching Emma. He looked older, defeated. Their eyes met briefly. He turned away first. Does he hate you? Christina asked William. He fears me. Different thing. Emma ran back, breathless, demanding ice cream. William lifted her onto his shoulders, her delighted squeals drawing smiles from strangers. Christina walked beside them, her hand in William's free one. That night, after Emma slept, Christina stood at her window overlooking the city. She thought about the rain-soaked street, the dying man, the choice that cost her everything. The woman who'd knelt that day was gone, consumed by fear, clinging to a life that had already abandoned her. The woman she'd become understood that salvation sometimes wore expensive suits and had blood on its hands. That family wasn't always legal. That love didn't follow rules. I stopped to help a dying man, and lost everything, Christina reflected. Then I discovered what I'd really lost was my fear. The woman I am now. She would do it again. She would do anything for the people she loves. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this story, kindly like, subscribe, and share for more stories like this.